Hello, Brian. Hello, L'Angèle. Tonight, we're going to talk about aching feet. Anybody out there experience, I don't like using the word suffer. Do any of you out there experience aching feet by the end of the day or maybe all day long? Well, that can be a very real part of multiple sclerosis. And it's funny because I'm going on 37 years with MS now, and they just used to call it peripheral neuropathy. Well, since then, and in the 20 years since I've been a naturopathic doctor, they've introduced a new diagnosis called peripheral neuropathy. And so it's not just an MS thing. But of course, we know that there's nerve pain associated with diabetes. There's nerve pain associated with kidney disease. And tonight, we're just going to talk about it as it relates to MS. And I'm seeing some great comments here. L'Angèle's telling me it's numb more than aching. Okay, fair enough. And Renee is telling me that there's a burning sensation. So I'm going to touch on all of that stuff because that's super important too. It can be tingling, it can be pain, it can be numbness or a decreased sensation. It can be that burning, but the flip side of that is it can also be like freezing feet, right? So any of those is possible, and they all require different attention, and that's what I'm actually want to give you some solutions tonight. Okay, it can also affect the hands and not just the feet. So in fact, some people actually even experience these sensations going up the legs and up the arms. So yeah, it's pretty much peripheral, right? If the body is the core, then everything else is in the periphery. And that would be our arms and our legs, right? So a lot of people notice it in the feet because it can be really uncomfortable, especially if you're already wobbly a little bit with your gait and then you've got pain in your feet. It can become a really awful thing, okay? I actually remember the first time that I realized that I had something going on in my feet. And I traveled to Southern California for a conference, for a medical conference. And it's an all day thing, right? And I finally got to my hotel and I finally got checked in, and I'll never forget flopping on the bed and going, oh crap, my feet are killing me. And it was a combination of things too. It was a combination of achy, nummy, kind of thing, but it was darn uncomfortable. And so that's when I started to really dig into it selfishly for myself. And then over the years, I've shared these ideas with lots of other people. So here are my top picks for dealing with that nervy pain. Okay. So first of all, I think those of you who are getting to know me know what the first thing I'm going to say is all things anti-inflammatory, right? So that irritation and that inflammation is causing the pain, is causing the sensation. So any of the things that we've talked about, an anti-inflammatory diet, an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, which, let's remember, an anti-inflammatory lifestyle, one that's calming down the central nervous system, is all about meditation. It's all about walks in nature. It's all about taking the time to breathe. So diet, lifestyle, and anything else that is anti-inflammatory. And ... top of the pile for me, of course, you're probably sick of me talking about it, but I won't stop, that is. And that is the Castor Oil Pack. So we're going to modify that Castor Oil Pack to apply it directly to the feet. And I'm a big fan of castor oil socks. I've used it in patients literally thousands of times over the last 20 years, and it's a home run. And so, how do you make castor oil socks? You're probably dying to know. And take a little sports sock, like a little ankle sock, put it on your feet, take your castor oil, drizzle it on the top and maybe on the bottom of your foot, or you can do it first and then put it on, whatever suits you. Then remember, castor oil is a thick, sticky oil that stains. So we don't want it in contact with everything. And when it's on your feet, chances are very likely that it will. So you're going to slip a plastic bag over top of that sock or socks. And then you're going to put another dry, snug sock over top of it just to keep it in place. So you're not putting castor oil footprints all over the house, and you're keeping it in place with the extra dry sock over top. You can leave those on for a couple of hours. You can leave them on all night. You can literally sleep with them, or you can leave them on all day. Just slip them in a shoe. That makes it even that much more secure. And that does a whole lot to calm down that pain and weird sensation, whatever it may be, in the feet. Now, I keep referring to it as nerve, and I'm thinking of the burning that you were talking about, Renee, because sometimes, I get burning and sometimes I get freezing too, and that can be more of a vascular thing, so blood vessel thing. So it can be nerves, it can be vascular. Heck, it could be a combination of both. But the castor oil pack, any of these things will help either way. Okay, so I want to let you in on a couple of secrets to turbocharge that castor oil sock. And that is, you can massage any number of things into your foot before you put that castor oil sock on, because the castor oil will just take that, whatever it is, in more deeply. And like I said, it will just really knock it out of the park. And I actually collected a few of my favorite topicals. And, inflammation is definitely an inside job, but when it comes to sort of isolated areas like hands or feet, it's always nice to be able to do something topically. Topically just makes us feel better. It makes us feel like we're doing something, and it absolutely can be helpful. So these are some of the things that you can actually massage into your feet, or you can just do a self massage. Even if you have no intention on doing the castor oil sock that night, you can take a few minutes and just massage some of these things deeply into your feet. Just massaging feet feels good. I don't know if you've ever had your feet massaged, but it's one of my most favorite things. In fact, when I go to my massage therapist, I say to her, don't care what else you do, just make sure you take a good round out of my feet. So self-massage psychologically is good. Self-massage, there's a lot of trigger points in the feet for other parts in your body, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but don't let me get too straight. Here are some of the things I rub into feet. Okay, here's one of my favorites. It's R55, and that's by Reckawag. And I'm going to give you all of these options because I know we've got people from all over the world, and I'm not sure what's available where. I'm not sure if this is available in the States, but I don't know. You have to check. Dr. Reckawag R55 cream. Traumeal is another great one. You can see these came straight out of my cabinet. Traumeal is no longer available in the United States or in Canada. They pulled out because of stupid legislation by our countries. But if you're in Europe or if you're in Australia, you can still get Traumeal. And this is magic. So you can rub Traumeal in. Arnica cream. This is one straight from Germany. You can see it's 30% arnica. In Canada, we can only get a 10% arnica cream. But, in case you decide to off yourself by massaging too much arnica into your feet. But I get this straight from Germany. It's Velada. It's a very common brand, WELEDA. But you can get that probably in the rest of the world in the 30% strength. Magnesium minerals. This is a magnesium gel. I prefer the lotion. The gel's kind of icky. I didn't realize I grabbed the gel bottle, but Ancient Minerals has a magnesium minerals lotion that's just so lovely. And then, of course, one of my favorite things is CBD. And this is just a salve that's made by a local person here. And it's some lovely essential oils. It's got some spearmint and some peppermint in it. So that's fine if you've got burning feet, because those essential oils are cooling. If you've got cold feet, you probably don't want to use a mint-based oil. So those are some of my favorite topicals. Oh, there's another one that I couldn't find a tube of. It's here somewhere. It's called Lymphdiol. And Lymphdiol is by a company called Pasco. And Pasco is a German company. And they've been around for hundreds of years. And the Lymphdiol is amazing, especially with the castor oil combo. Sorry, I got my little bowl out of the way. So you can use the castor oil socks over and over and over again, right? Just like the pack. Now, the thing is with feet, because feet tend to sweat a little bit, I find that they might get stinkier a little bit quicker. So you might actually be changing it more often than you do the castor oil pack you put on your abdomen. But that's okay. Just get a new pair of sport socks and start again. So some of the essential oils that you can drop those right on top of the sock. Some of my favorites are peppermint. Like, who doesn't like peppermint? Peppermint just makes everything feel better. But remember, it is a cooling essential oil. So if you've got a burning sensation, it might be helpful. If you've got cold feet, not so helpful. Okay. Rosemary and peppermint is also an analgesic and an anesthetic. So it actually does help to relieve pain too. It doesn't just make you feel better. Rosemary is another oil. I just love rosemary. And it's also an analgesic, and it's an antioxidant and an antiseptic and an antispasmodic. So if those little, if you're getting a lot of cramping or a lot of spasming in the feet, well, first of all, the castor oil socks are going to be magical for that. But then use rosemary on it because it's got that antispasmodic quality. Frankincense, of course, is ancient for anything that has to do with little joints. It's antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, antiseptic, antispasmodic. So remember, whenever there's an inflammatory process going on in the body, the inflammatory junk, for lack of a more, complex word, loves to settle out in the joints. And those feet, there are so many little tiny joints in those feet that, they get hurting real quick. And the last essential oil I want to mention is lavender. Lavender is my favorite, not because of the smell necessarily, but it is all things nerves, right? It calms the central nervous system. It calms the nervous gut. It helps with the small nerves in the peripheral and the feet. So it's very anti-inflammatory, and it's also antispasmodic, So, there are people out there that probably know way more about essential oils than I do. I studied essential oils about 20 years before I became a naturopath. Those are just 4 of my favorites for you. So we went from the castor oil socks into the foot massage, into using topicals and being able to combine them. So we kind of covered a whole lot of ground there. while we're on the topic of foot massage, I want to talk about reflexology. And let me know in the chat if you've ever done reflexology or had it done for you. Reflexology is an ancient art of basically acupressure. It's stimulating the acupressure points on the bottom of the feet. So in traditional Chinese medicine, which understands there to be 12 meridians that run from the bottom to the top and the top to the bottom, and they carry what's called qi, or we might know it as vital force or energy, to all of the organs. And all of those 12 meridians either begin or end in the hands and the feet. So is it any wonder that we love having our hands and feet massaged? And in fact, there's one point in the middle of the foot. You know, if you run your thumbs up your foot, and right where the pad of the toes comes down, and you sort of right in the middle of the foot, that is kidney 1, and that is actually a resuscitation point. And I've got a funny little side story about using that. Mike used to pass out all the time when he gave blood, and I started going with him and just massaging that point in the middle of his foot, and it's a resuscitation point. And that was the first time I did that was the first time he didn't pass out. So it's a great, invigorating point. So reflexology, back to reflexology, uses the wisdom of acupuncture and their own wisdom of understanding what points on the feet stimulate what points in the body. So yes, it's a wonderful foot massage, but it's also a whole body treatment. I am so committed to reflexology. I have a gal that comes every 2 weeks, and she is absolutely delightful. And as you know, we're moving to Nova Scotia soon. I've already got my reflexologist all scoped out in Nova Scotia. What else did I wanted to tell you? Oh, I wanted to tell you that there was actually a Lancet article, so a peer-reviewed, published medical journal article that was a study that was done on reflexology and multiple sclerosis. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but it showed definite benefits, and it was in the realms of overall pain, overall spasticity, swelling, of course, of the ankles. And I used to have a reflexologist in the clinic I owned, and she used to work with a lot of my MS patients based on that study, so replicating that study. So it's not hocus pocus, it's the real deal, okay? Another lovely and ancient therapy is hydrotherapy. And you know, we've talked about hydrotherapy before. It's the contrast between hot and cold using water. So hot and cold baths, or ending your normal shower with a cold rinse. Well, in this case, it would be alternating hot and cold foot baths. So this is something you can do just sitting in front of your tub, where you have 2 basins, one super hot and one super cold. In fact, you can put a couple of ice cubes in the cold, or you can do it outside on the patio in the summer, but you want to slip your feet into the hot water for 3 minutes, into the cold water for 1 minute, and then you want to repeat that 3 times. So you always end on cold, but that repetition, the body expands with heat and it contracts with cold, and it expands with heat and it contracts with cold. So what you're doing is you're providing a gentle pumping action. Actually, it's great for your whole body, but in this case, we are focused on the feet, and the feet will benefit too, but so will your whole body, because you're really pumping your lymphatics from down at the foot level. And in the hot water, you can add some magnesium minerals, right? Because you're in there for 3 minutes. And then I don't necessarily put anything in the cold water, but you can definitely add the magnesium minerals. Actually, I just thought of something which is just random, so it doesn't even have a place in my official script, but I recently found magnesium minerals that were infused with CBD and lavender. Huh, magic. Absolute magic. That's something to take a whole body bath in if you've got somebody to drag you out of that bath. So that's the alternating hot and cold foot baths. The last foot therapy I want to talk to you about today is compression socks. And yes, those are the same compression socks that your granny wears. But that's, that perspective really only exists in North America, because in the rest of the world, the benefits of whole body compression garments in healing is well studied and well known. And I mean, there's a ton of research that has come out of Australia about this. And it's especially for any kind of ailment. It's about getting blood flow regulated. It's about getting lymphatic flow regulated. And compression socks you can wear them every day. You can just slip them on like normal socks. And also, what was I going to say about that? You can slip them on and wear them all day. Swelling in the ankles. So if you have any kind of swelling in the ankles, no matter how small it is, then you know what? Put them on. And you can actually sleep with compression socks on. So you can sleep with those compression socks. And I just realized I skipped over one that I want to talk about. So this isn't the last therapy, but you can find compression socks. There's different pressures of them, and some of them, like, you literally need devices to get into. I don't know about you, but I'm not into devices to get my socks on. So I use something that's challenging enough to get on, but it doesn't require mechanical devices. So you can find those in your physiotherapist's office, in your podiatrist's office or chiropodist's office, or if you know what pressure you want. I'm sure, like anything else nowadays, you can get those on Amazon. So the one that I missed that, I'm so excited, this changed my life, and maybe it's appropriate that it's the last one that I talk about. And this is actually having a foot assessment with a chiropodist or a podiatrist. Because what happens when you get diagnosed with MS? Everything's MS, right? Everything's MS. And you just write it off as, oh, it's the MS. Well, you know what? I'm going to challenge you on that, because we've got to figure out who we need on our healthcare team, right? What my experience was, I had pain in my feet for ages by the time I finally went to her. When did I start seeing Parveen? That was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so I've had painful feet for literally decades before that. And I went in to see her because I had a lesion on one of my toes. And oh my God, it was so painful. And so I went to see her for that. And she said, so she started cleaning it up. And we realized once she started cleaning, taking the dead tissue away, that it was actually necrotic in the center. And what necrotic means is that it was rotting. It was literally necrotizing. So that was kind of horrifying and slightly embarrassing. And she said, let's just do a foot assessment, a shoe sizing assessment. So she sent me off with one of her shoe sizing experts. And wouldn't you know it, I was wearing totally the wrong size of shoe. And apparently, some huge number, 80% of people are wearing the wrong size of shoe. As soon as I got the new shoes that the new shoe size and started wearing the new shoe size that they recommended, it was like heaven. It was like heaven on earth. I would say easy, because even now I'm not bothered by pain in my feet anymore after decades of it. So immediate relief of something that would normally have been written off as, oh, that's just the MS, like suck it up, buttercup. So I encourage you to do that. And, chiropodists and podiatrists, at least in Canada, are covered by most third-party healthcare plans. So you've got no reason not to go, right? Pressure points, just the right size. And then, like I actually had this, it was a pressure point where I had that little lesion and I just thought it was a blister. I just thought it was a blister from my shoes. And it turned out that it was actually doing damage to my foot. And if it had gone on and gotten infected, it would have been a nightmare. It could have been potentially a disaster for me. So go get your feet assessed and make sure you're wearing the right size of shoe. Okay. So there you go. So what did we talk about? We talked about castor oil socks. We talked about self foot massage, some topicals that you can use before you do your castor oil pack or as you do your self foot massage. And I will put a list of those in the group so you can check those out yourself. We talked about reflexology, which I completely recommend. We talked about essential oils for the feet too. Oh, and guess what is even yummier than reflexology is reflexology with essential oils, right? We talked about having a foot assessment and a shoe size assessment, and we talked about alternating hot and cold baths. Now, a lot of your everyday supplements are also going to help you in these areas, right? Because what are they doing? The daily basics, your vitamin D, your fish oil, your probiotic, those are going to be anti-inflammatory already. And, certain ones, and I'll mention them here because we've already talked about them in the group, acetyl L-carnitine, but especially alpha-lipoic acid. But you know what? Remember, it's not one thing, it's not even two things, it's everything you do that gets you the results you need. So before you start adding another supplement to take for pain in your feet, try some of the other therapeutics, and especially that foot sizing thing, and make sure that you're getting the inflammation down as much as possible without having to take more supplements. So L'Angèle is wondering if I could talk the stretching prior to your live up. Yes, I did L'Angèle right at the beginning. So once again, I would like to remind you to join L'Angèle. I missed tonight, and I'm very sheepish about that because I so incredibly enjoyed it when I did it. And also, there's all kinds, speaking of stretching, especially in the hands and the feet, there's all kinds of little stretches that you can do for your hands and feet to relieve any kind of sensation or any kind of pain as well. So we did hamstrings and quads today. Absolutely. So, move down to those hands and feet, and L'Angèle can share some stretches with you for that. And you can always zip over to the MS gym and see what he's got going on, or you can just do Dr. Google and find some other great resources for hand and feet. So L'Angèle is saying that you're gonna do hands and feet next week, and I will be darn sure to be there myself.
And the link for that will be in our private group, Transform MS Naturally.
Right. Okay.
So that'll be posted before the event.
Oh, that's right. In case anybody's not part of the group, the links to all of these things are in the Transform MS Naturally Facebook group. And if you're not already a member, you can join. You have a few simple questions to answer to make sure that you're the real deal, and then we welcome you with open arms. So there you go, folks. A little bit of ideas on how to minimize the discomfort of peripheral neuropathy and multiple sclerosis. I wish you all a wonderful evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. And I look forward to joining you again next week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Bye-bye.